Okay. All right, so I believe that we are officially live now. I think we're running into some technical difficulties, and we actually weren't live for the first 15 minutes, which kind of stinks because we talked about a lot of stuff thinking that we were live. So,
Yeah, it's totally okay. We
but
can
yeah,
still run through some of these questions here.
definitely. And we had some good practice with them too.
Yeah, definitely. Apologies to anybody who was sticking around, and we're 15 minutes over here. If anybody in the chat could give us a thumbs up or something, if you can hear us, if you can see us. We've just been having some issues getting connected to YouTube Live with our setup over here. So yeah, if anybody in the chat could let us know if you can see us, okay, that would be great. But yeah, let's go ahead and just take it from the top and start working through some of these questions here.
Sweet. All right. Do you want me to start it off?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. Let's see. So we already answered some of these questions, but we're going to go through and do them again because we were just talking to ourselves that whole time. So Pronto asked a question about fees with Ledger Live. So there's going to be fees in Ledger Live through the provider that you're using to purchase or swap your crypto, and then there will also be a small fee paid to Ledger as well. And it's not always clear how much these fees are. For us to know specifically what the fees are for the swap provider you're using, we'd have to actually reach out to them and get this information. So for that, your best bet would be to open up a support ticket with us. That way we can contact them, and based on your region and the crypto you're swapping, we can get an exact number for you. But I can't say on our end the fees are quite low. But yeah, that's all I got on that for now.
Cool. And thanks for all the feedback in the chat, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Thomas D, appreciate the positive comment there. Happy that you're getting a good experience with us. We're definitely working around the clock trying to get back to everybody as quickly as we can with the most accurate answers possible. So I really appreciate to see that you're feeling the fruits of our efforts. That's good.
Yes.
Cool. I'll take the SK19 ask something about the CL card. SK19 asks, hey, are you guys going to put XRP and XLM on your CL card? At the moment, it's only good for people with ETH and Bitcoin. And yeah, that's a good thing to bring up. The CL card is a little bit limited in terms of what cryptos that you can load up to it to go out and use for daily spending. It is important to remember, though, that the CL card and Ledger are two separate things. The CL card isn't our direct product. The CL card is actually a product of a company called Banks, and we really just partner with them to provide a seamless experience to be able to use this CL card product, which is Banks, which is a product by Banks. We partner with them so that you can seamlessly load up crypto from your Ledger secured account in Ledger Live directly to your CL card. So it's, in terms of what other cryptos CL card is going to support, it's a little bit out of our wheelhouse. It'll be up to, at least as far as I know from a support perspective, who knows if there's other conversations going on that I'm not a part of. But from a support perspective, it wouldn't really be our call in terms of what other cryptos will be included in the CL card to be able to load up and use for everyday spending. So if I were you and you wanted some more information about what is on their roadmap, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to their support team or maybe hop on their socials and ask them directly if they have any insight to what other cryptos they intend to support in the future.
All right, let's see. I think the next question was from Gary Kieran, saying that you ordered a Stacks in mid-February, and now you're wondering when you're going to receive it. That's a good question. We have not started shipping out Stacks yet, and we also had to turn off our pre-orders temporarily to keep up with the demand, and that will come back on. And I know you're not going to like this next part, but we don't have any real information to give at this point, any updates on that. This is going to come from our marketing team, and they so they'll provide the update on Twitter, like our main Twitter support page, the Ledger support handle. That's probably where you'll see an update when it becomes available. But as far as us on the technical side of things, like we don't really have much insight into when that will be. I'm sorry we couldn't offer you more direct information on that. But yeah, reach out to us if through our at the Ledger support handle or through a ticket, and we'll see what we can do. But we may just have to wait until we get more information on that.
Paula Golding asking, hey, I desperately need help setting up my Ledger Nano X. Got it 5 weeks ago and have PIN and passphrase set up and 3 apps. After that, I've been unable to do anything and have done all the steps the support told me to. All right, Paula, yeah, totally happy to help you in any way that we can. We would need a little bit more information about exactly what it is that you're running into, where you're getting stuck. So if you're still here in the broadcast, please feel free to add any details about what step that you're getting stuck at. Sounds like you got your device set up with a 24-word recovery phrase and you've installed some apps on the device. So that tells me that you obviously have Ledger Live connected and because you were able to install some apps. So intuitively thinking, the next step would be to add your crypto accounts in Ledger Live. You can do that. Maybe we can pull it up here in Ledger
definitely.
Live, kind of show you what a next step would be in terms of a basic onboarding. So
yeah, so let me see. So you'll see, hand works. We got a Nano here. So yeah, do you want to actually drive on this, Brady, since you started
Sure,
it?
yeah.
Let me get out of your way. Let me get this.
Perfect. Yeah, so Paula, we know that you're at least at this step, right? You're at least here. Look, I got my Ledger. It's set up. I got my 24-word recovery phrase written down somewhere. You can see on here we have a ton of different apps. You said that you only have 3 apps, so that's totally fine. But we have apps on the device. We obviously have installed Ledger Live, as we can see here, because that's what we use to install the apps on the Nano. So really your next step here would be to go to Add Account, or go to your Accounts tab over here in the left-hand column. And for you, you probably won't see anything here because I'm assuming this is probably where you're getting stuck. The next thing that you want to do is you want to think about, okay, what cryptos do I currently own somewhere else, right? Maybe I'm on Coinbase or Binance, or maybe I have some other DeFi wallet that has funds in it that I want to secure with Ledger. And what are those crypto assets? So for example, maybe I have some Bitcoin on Coinbase and I want to get that off Coinbase and secure that with my Ledger. So assuming that you have the Bitcoin app installed, or even if you don't, it's okay. Ledger Live is automatically going to install it for you using this process. Really, your next step is to click Add Account up here. And then you would search for Bitcoin because you need to add your Ledger secured Bitcoin account. This is going to be completely separate from any accounts that you currently have in other applications or services, exchanges. So we'll go ahead and add our Bitcoin account, and you'll see on the device it's saying, hey, open up the Bitcoin app. So we select both buttons on the device to open up that Bitcoin app, and you'll see Bitcoin is ready. So now in Ledger Live, you can see that it's gonna search the blockchain for the Bitcoin account that's associated with the public information provided by the Nano. So now you can see I have my first Bitcoin app coming up here. Just to be sure, Tim, this isn't any personal funds,
Nope.
is it? Okay.
Work funds.
Oh,
yep.
Don't want to reveal any of Tim's bags.
My
Here,
1,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish.
So cool. So for Bitcoin, you'll see, really taking a shot in the dark here because I don't know your crypto assets, so I don't want to get too in the weeds if you're not a holder of Bitcoin. But really quick, if you are using Bitcoin, you'll see this native SegWit account type, and you'll have this little toggle for these different account types. Honestly, if you're just a very normal user, you're holding Bitcoin, you're exchanging Bitcoin, ignore all of this stuff. You don't need Taproot, SegWit, Legacy. Just continue using native SegWit. So just ignore all those different address types. This seems to be the most commonly adopted and used across other services and exchanges. So just use native SegWit. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much. So once you select it, go ahead and hit Add Account. And then here it'll be in Ledger Live. So now this is my Ledger secured Bitcoin account that doesn't have any Bitcoin in it yet. So how do I get my coins that are on Coinbase or Binance over to Ledger? Well, you just click on the account and then you can click Receive. And then here it's going to confirm that you're going to this Bitcoin account and go ahead and hit Continue. Next is really important. You want to pay attention to your device during this stage, because right now you have your Bitcoin public address that it's giving you, and you want to confirm that it matches exactly on your device, because your Ledger Nano is the source of truth. So you want to make sure that what you see on your Ledger Nano matches what Ledger Live is showing you here. If it does, go ahead and copy your address. Now that your address is copied to your clipboard, all you'll need to do is just pop over to your exchange, make a withdrawal of Coinbase, and the destination address that Bitcoin is going to be this address. So then you just paste it in that to field, that destination field, and complete the withdrawal, and then it'll show up here in Ledger Live. Then Paula, from there, you can just repeat that process for all the cryptos that you own externally and get them all transferred over to your Ledger secured crypto accounts. So I hope that helps. I hope you were listening. If not, and maybe you're just popping back in later, feel free to catch the recording and work through that as well. So cool.
All right. See what we got here. Oh, we got a lot of questions coming now.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. So it looks like Dylan Wood's asking more questions about the stacks. Actually, yeah, we actually do have a good FAQ on the stacks. And let me get you that link. Ledgers is. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this in here. This is this is updated very regularly. It was updated just a couple weeks ago, so we do keep this FAQ updated. But once again, the best place and most up-to-date place to get information is from our Twitter support page, at least in my opinion. Even I learn things on Twitter support,
I know.
support page sometimes.
I'm the one that does a lot of the posting on the Twitter support page, but I still learn from the Twitter support page because other people are posting from it too.
Yeah, I'll wake up in the morning sometimes and be like, oh, we got a new, looks like we got a new feature at the Ledger Live. Cool.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, let's see what else we got. That was an easy, harder one. Let's see. So it looks like we have a question about, we have a couple coin support questions. We generally get a lot of those. I'm not too familiar. So Mr. Joseph is asking us about Casper. Let's take a look and see what we can find out about this coin, because I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Casper?
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar.
Take a look.
I've heard of it. There's
so many.
Tens of thousands of different coins,
so
networks,
many.
and tokens.
Okay, so it looks like Casper is a layer 1. It is its own its own layer 1 blockchain. So this one is going to be a little different. Let me in fact, let me just show you what I'm doing. Because it's not that complex what I'm doing. So basically, I looked up Casper on CoinGecko, which is a great source to find information about different cryptocurrencies. I can see here that it's got its own block explorer, explorer.casper.org, and it very much looks like it's own layer 1. So then from here, what I'll do is I'm going to come back here to Ledger Live, and I'm just going to check to see if there's already a Casper Nano app for Ledger Live. So right now it's asking us do a secure location to connect to the My Ledger tab. We're going to allow that. Okay. Okay, so spell it right, that would help. All right, so there is currently no Casper app for Ledger Live. So in this case, since this hasn't been submitted to us yet, the general process for new Nano apps that need to get added to Ledger Live is we have a website, developers.ledger.com, and this is where other developers from other blockchains can go to use our open source code to create a Nano app for Ledger Live. And so it's really up to the developers of that specific blockchain to develop the app. And once they develop the app, they can then submit it to us. And then our own developers will do a security review, and then they'll work together to get that app ready to publish to Ledger Live. This process can honestly take some time, depending on how complex the blockchain is, depending on what features it needs to have. Some blockchains are different than others. We just talked about Hedera HBAR, which uses hash graph technology, which makes it very complex. So I don't know a whole lot about Casper off the top of my head, but to get the process started, or how long it would take, but to get the process started, that's what they'd have to do. They'd have to go to developers.ledger.com, develop the Nano app and submit it to us, and then we would work with them to get it published to Ledger Live. And then, and once that happens, then we could, from there, it would be on us to extend the support into Ledger Live after everything works out okay. So that's pretty much the process on that. Let's see. All right.
Oh wow, we are getting quite a few
We
questions.
are getting
in.
quite a
Nice.
few. This is nice.
Thomas D, thanks again for the shout out. Really appreciate it. Glad
Yeah.
you are. Glad you're enjoying it, and glad that we can be helpful here. I'll take this one from Jeff Aldagi.
Cool.
A little bit of a question kind of outside of our scope from Tech CS, but I'll take a quick stab at it. They ask, with 3 recent bank failures in the US, do you anticipate any problems with accessing liquidity in US dollars in the near future? It's not really a question that we can cover, honestly, from a tech perspective. What you see and what you interact with within Ledger Live isn't anything that's like hosted and controlled by Ledger Live, right? USDC, like even Ethereum, Bitcoin, all of the tokens like USDC, USDT, any stable coins, whatever, those are their own independent things, right? These are blockchains and networks and tokens that are out on the blockchain, right? Out there, wherever. And Ledger Live is simply just a tool to help you view those things, view your accounts within those blockchains, and of course, it helps you interact with your accounts on those blockchains in a really easy way. But really, in terms of things like liquidity or if there's going to be problems with those networks, it's really out of the control or the scope of Ledger, especially from the Ledger support team. So I hope that kind of helps answer your question, maybe steers you in a better direction for some folks who may be able to help bring some more color to that. But yeah, unless you have anything to add, Tim.
No, I think that's pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll take another one since that was kind of a non-answer answer. Alex Ashadu says, does Ledger Stacks work with Multiverse X? Thank you. Cool. Yeah, let's kind of do what we just did here with Casper and look up Multiverse X and see what's going on. While Tim's pulling that up, really it doesn't matter so much about the device itself. Oh, is this what they renamed Eagle to Multiverse X. Yeah, I remember seeing this headline. Yeah, we do support Eagle.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Let's go back here.
Yeah, well, Tim's pulling that up and seeing if we have an app built, or if they have an app built for it. Just kind of more on what I was saying. It doesn't matter so much about the device itself. It really comes down to whether or not there's a Nano app built for it. And it looks like there is. So Multiverse X does have an app built for our Ledger products. So when we have Multiverse X app, whatever, it's built, it's here in Ledger Live, you can install it on your apps. It means you can install it on all of your Nano devices. So odds are that our Stacks product is going to have almost, if not all, of the apps available that are available to your Nano. There are only very, very fringe situations where an app will be available on a certain device, but not another. I've only seen that for a handful of apps. I think I can count on one hand how many times I've seen an app available on maybe like the Nano X and S, but not the S Plus. It doesn't happen very often. Usually if an app is available, it is usable throughout all of our devices. So with knowing that, I'm very certain that it will be the same with Stacks. So it's not usually a question about the device itself or the device is going to support it. It's more like, hey, did eGold, Multiverse X or whatever, have they built a Ledger app for their network yet? And if the answer is yes, then of course it'll likely be developed and ready to be installed on your device.
Wish I had 1,000 BTC. me too, Thomas.
For sure.
All right, let's see. It looks like Master Chef is asking, how long can a Ledger last before needing to be replaced? This depends on the device. We see, and it depends on how well they're treated as well. We get customers that have Nano S's from like 2017, pretty back in the day, that are pulling them out for the first time and they're still working perfectly fine. But then we have some users who had issues pretty quickly with their device, depending on the wear and tear and how they were treated. Of course, with any electronic product, there's going to be a certain percentage of lemons from the factory where maybe it doesn't work as good, but the percentage is very, very small. The Nano devices are pretty solid. So yeah, it really depends how you work on them. Full disclosure, the Nano S, one of the things that we upgraded when we came out with the Nano S Plus is if you're familiar with the Nano S, you'll know that it was one of our earlier devices. It came out pretty quickly after the Ledger Blue, and it has very limited internal memory capacity. Because back then there weren't a whole lot of blockchains around that needed support, and also the blockchain apps were much smaller. But over time, as blockchains have grown and developed and evolved, the nano apps that you have to install onto your nano device in order to communicate with those blockchains has grown with them, like new transaction types, new like all sorts of new features like that has to be built into the apps so that you can still do those functions with your ledger. So now as a result, the Nano S, like in some cases, I believe this just happened, but if you have a Nano S, it no longer has enough memory capacity to hold just the Avalanche app, which the Avalanche app is quite big, or the Polkadot app. The Polkadot app is also quite big. And this is, one of the reasons, but so that's one of the things we upgrade with the Nano S Plus, but also the screen. The screen on the original Nano S, it tends to dim over time. And so one of the features of the Nano S Plus is an upgraded screen that has better LED setup. So again, it really depends on the wear and tear of the device, how long it's going to last, what kind of device you have. But they seem to last pretty good from my experience. All my work ones, I've been using the same ones for over a year now. This one right here that we use for demonstration, I plug this thing in hundreds of times a day, in and out, like testing different things, installing apps. I have never had any issues with it.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons is because it's a fairly simple device, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not doing a whole lot of complex things, so there's not a whole lot that could go wrong, right? And that's kind of that is part of the highlight of the security of the Ledger Nano is it does very few things. It does them very, very securely, right? It doesn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles because all of those bells and whistles would be potential vulnerabilities that you would need to look out for. So since the device is so simple, it lasts so long because you're not really forcing it to do a whole lot, right? It's a pretty simple device. Okay.
I think we're right.
All right. So it looks like Paula Golding said that we didn't quite get the question right. I have 3 apps loaded, but I can't add coins. I get a box on PC saying disk is. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you're running into some kind of connection issue. Could really be a variety of things, honestly. Connection issues are hard from a Ledger support perspective to troubleshoot. We don't have access to your personal computer. We don't know exactly what your setup is. We do have some system requirements and a hefty USB connection issue troubleshooting that you can work through. Let me read this again here. So yeah, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure where this error is popping up for you. If it's when you're opening Ledger Live, when you're trying to connect your device to your computer, could be a variety of things. One thing I will mention is if you're using Windows, you mentioned PC, so I'm assuming you're using Windows. We do the minimum Windows version for Ledger Live is Windows 10, and even Windows 10, that earliest version that's still supported, can still be a little iffy here and there on some occasions. So make sure that you're at least on Windows 10. You're using the cable the device came with. Honestly, it may be easier if you submit a ticket at support.ledger.com and we can walk you through any connection issue that you're running into and try to help you as best that we can. Right.
Want me to take this next one?
Yeah, sure.
So Thomas came back with a question. Thomas B, you're asking, you have a specific question about your ETH account, specifically your ETH tokens. This is actually, I'm actually glad that you brought this up. This is something that I kind of wanted to cover here. Since we have so many people here watching, this is something that may affect a lot of users. It's actually an issue with Ledger Live right now. We're working on it. It's our developers are definitely aware of this issue. Let me switch to show you. And of course, it's not going to happen in my account. things never happen when I want them to, but a lot of users are having issues seeing their ERC20 token. So if you see, I open up my ETH account here, and then also I have an ETH account here with some tokens in it. You'll see it's displaying the tokens, but a lot of users are reporting to us that their ERC20 tokens are no longer showing up in Ledger Live. And we were actually able to confirm that. So what you want to do, there's several things you can do. So the first thing you should know is this has nothing to do with your actual account. This is just a UI glitch in Ledger Live. So Brady touched on this earlier, but your crypto is not actually in Ledger Live. Ledger Live is just pulling in your account data from a block explorer to display it for you here. And there's something broken there that's making it not show ERC20 tokens. And this is a top priority. We'll get this fixed soon. But for the meantime, you can connect your Nano to MetaMask, and you can add your individual tokens and view it there. Or you can simply just come here to your account. You can generate your receive address link. That's fine. That'll also generate my ETH address. I'm going to click this don't have your Nano because it's currently not plugged in. That is a trick you can do to just get your ETH address really quick. However, if you're ever sending funds to your account, you're going to want to plug in your Nano and verify your address to make sure that you're getting the right address. But in this demonstration, I'm just getting the address so I can look it up on Etherscan. I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to copy here, continue, done. We're going to switch over to Chrome, exit out of that. We're going to exit out of that. We go to etherscan.io. And for all intents and purposes, this is the Ethereum blockchain right here. So we're going to look up my wallet address. We're going to see what we got. You can see it's showing the exact same balance in Ledger Live. Ledger Live is pulling their information straight from a source just like this. So you can see I do have some tokens. I have one token, Chainlink. It looks like I have more in Ledger Live because of another like weird UI thing. You'll see 0 Crow, 0 Matic, 0 USD. Those were in this account. And for whatever reason, it's still showing that. But in actuality, I have transferred these out. In fact, my crypto.com is now down here on the Crow mainnet, and my Matic is now down here on the Polygon mainnet. So we'll go back to Etherscan. I'll show you, it's still showing my link. So if you're having that issue where you're not seeing your tokens in Ledger Live, first, copy your address, go to Etherscan. Make sure your tokens are still there. Make sure that there's no issues. If your tokens are showing on Etherscan, they're still there, and you'll know for a fact this is just a weird Ledger Live issue. So then from there, you can actually still work around this in Ledger Live. We have this really cool app that I honestly went forever before I play. I'd like recommend this app to people without even playing with it, but it's actually really cool. It's called the Zerion app. See that thing?
Zerion.
There
There it is.
There it is. All right, cool. So we go to the Zerion app. Continue. So it's already pulling in my ETH S Plus. You can see it'll have your account, and it'll also show your tokens for your various accounts. So it's one way to work around. If you don't see it, you can just come here to the Zerion app, and you can still manage your assets through here. You can see your NFTs and your transaction history. So that's a way to work around it through Ledger Live. However, if you're not able to use this for whatever reason, there's always MetaMask, and that's always an option to connect to. But yeah, that's what's going on with Ledger Live.
Nice. And I think too, you touched on, if you go back to the accounts tab.
Yeah, of course.
I think there's actually a setting. So you have these empty token accounts.
Yeah.
I think Ledger Live does keep them there by design. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I think they do keep it there as by design because that is essentially an account in a way that you've added, right? It's a sub account to your Ethereum account that you have added to Ledger Live. So it's not going to remove it unless you tell it to. So I think there is a couple things you could do. If you go to settings, the upper right hand corner.
Right here?
Yep. Go ahead and go to settings. And then click accounts.
Okay.
And you can hide token transactions when value is 0. Oh, yours is enabled though.
Oh, okay.
So what if you
Turn that off.
and then turn it back on?
And then turn it back on. Actually, we'll turn it off. Go over here. We'll clear the cache.
Your cache.
Turn it back on, then clear the cache again. Clearing the cache is like the the best, like not the best. I mean, it's so what clearing your cache does is it forces your accounts to resync with the blockchain. So if you're having weird issues with Ledger Live, account related issues, clearing your cache is the first thing you should always do. And anytime you mess with any settings, clear the cache to make sure that those settings take effect. Come back here. Turn that back on.
Wonder if that did.
It did not.
Still there, okay.
However, maybe I can just manually remove them.
Yeah, so if you right click on the token account when you're in the account view and hide token.
Okay. But I'm not going to, because I actually like having multiple tokens showing for demonstration purposes to show people what tokens look like inside accounts. I'm gonna leave these, but that is good to know.
Yeah, that's something we should report to the product team. Have you seen that? Have you seen like a internal thing before about that?
I have not actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I haven't. So basically, I haven't seen anyone actually complain about this. So maybe it hasn't been reported yet. But this is something that probably could be cleaned up a little bit. Sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely get that reported. All right. Tim asked, any idea when you will have quant support? Also, honestly, no ETA from our side. Is there a quant app?
I believe Quant is an ERC20 token.
Oh, you're right. It is. Yeah, it is an ERC.
Yeah, and I believe we support it. So let me go here. I'm gonna look at Quant. I'm just gonna make sure. I'm like almost 100% sure that Quant is. Yeah, so Quant is an ERC20 token. Here's the token contract address for the Ethereum blockchain for this token. So your Quant, you can actually send that directly to. Did you verify?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. So you can actually send your Quant directly to your Ethereum wallet address, and it'll show up just like this, just like any of these tokens. It'll just say Quant, and it'll have the value. So you can just open up your ETH account, generate your receive address, and send your Quant right over. It'll show up.
Nice. Perfect. Hi, TK Jonathan asks, do you anticipate there will be...
Sorry.
Where...
Guy accident.
Oh man, let's grind through these.
Yeah, let's grind through these.
Okay.
We have a lot. All right.
Wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, never had this many questions. All right.
This is good. Okay. Will there be payment terminals that accept Ledger anytime soon? Not really sure. No info about that from at least the tech support side. So Ledger can be connected to Casper. It can. There is a Casper app that you can install in the My Ledger tab, and then there is a Casper web wallet that you can connect to view and manage your Casper tokens. They cannot be viewed or managed in Ledger Live yet. Correct. Blanca Tiberius asks, recovery phrase can change. Long story short, your Ledger Nano can derive really an infinite amount of recovery phrases. Anytime that you set up the device and click the option that says set up as a new device, you are telling the device to run a function that derives or you're asking it to run a function whose output is a random, quote unquote random. It's defined by certain parameters within a certain protocol, but you're asking it to derive a random 24-word recovery phrase. So you can have as many recovery phrases. You can tell the device to give you as many recovery phrases as you want, but you really only ever need one, right? Don't confuse yourself with a whole bunch of other recovery phrases. So, and if you ever do need to change your recovery phrase, keep in mind that each recovery phrase generates its own unique list of addresses on the blockchain. So if you have funds in accounts right now that are associated with a certain 24-word recovery phrase, if you want to change that recovery phrase, you'll have to generate a new one, add new accounts for that recovery phrase, and then send your assets from their accounts derived by their old recovery phrase, send it over to your addresses derived by the accounts from the new recovery phrase. So it's a bit of a process. If you don't need to change your recovery phrase, don't do it.
Yeah.
All
right. Here's more on the recovery phrase right here. He says, Ron Hart is asking, hey guys, when I receive asset on the drop-down menu says to check my recovery phrase. So what I think you're asking is when you go to generate your receive address, you have your Nano plugged in, and then possibly you're getting a pop-up error message that says something went wrong. Please check that your recovery phrase matches, or something about your recovery phrase not matching the associated account. If that's the error message you're getting, that means that the account you're trying to access with your Nano, it was derived from a different recovery phrase than the one that's stored in your Nano. So one way that can happen is if you have two Nanos. I have both these Nano S Pluses, they have different recovery phrases. If I were to try to access this account with this Nano, I would get that same error message, and vice versa. So
do it right now.
Yeah, you want to do that and display that?
I'm gonna plug in my device. And we're gonna try to transact on Tim's accounts that were derived from a different recovery phrase. So switch this up. I just connected. This is my Ledger Nano X. So I'm just gonna go ahead and unlock it. Cool. And let's go ahead and add in, or let's go ahead and try to get your Ethereum address from
Ethereum
Ledger.
address. All right.
So I'm gonna open the Ethereum app on my device.
Okay. Let's receive funds.
Let's see what happens.
So I'm not going to click this.
Nope.
There we
Boom,
go.
right there.
So if this is the error message you're getting, it says, please check that your hardware wallet is set up with the recovery phrase or passphrase associated with the selected account. So this is actually the only time you would get this error message. So if this is the error message you're getting, you'll know 100% that the Nano that you're using, either the recovery phrase changed at some point, like maybe your device reset and you set it up with a new recovery phrase. Maybe when you were going to import your old recovery phrase, a single word was entered incorrectly. There's a lot of reasons, not a lot of reasons, but there's a handful of reasons this might happen. But the most common is when people have more than one Nano recovery phrase, and they're just trying to access an account that wasn't created from. So I hope that answers your question. But let us know in the comments if we're totally off base, if your issue is something else. All right, and hoping that we can get to it. We have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm totally cool going a bit over.
Me too.
Yeah, you're cool with it.
Definitely, especially since we had a late start.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see where.
I think we are right here.
All right. So it says, why does SGB spin in red on platform? No network found. So you're probably talking about Songbird, and you're trying to add an account. So I guess there's a lot of reasons why that could happen.
Yeah, why does Songbird spin? So I think is what they're talking about. I think you actually have an account right now in Ledger Live that has the red X.
Oh.
At least you did.
I did, and of course, when we go to show you, it's not here.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
So yeah, I think
here we go. H bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not add a please try again.
This is a different issue than what you would be experiencing here, but yes.
Yeah, typically, so 808 Biggie, typically when you see that happening, there's usually two things that are happening. One, maybe the network itself is down and they're going through some maintenance or something, and the network itself just has issues. Believe it or not, even though it sounds scary, blockchain networks go down every so often. Every so often they go down.
Solana goes down quite often.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that your funds will be lost or funds that were in transit are going to disappear. It's not really what's going on. Sometimes they just go down, and when they go back up, and they fix whatever the issue was or push whatever maintenance they wanted to push, when it goes back live, any pending transactions or information that you wanted is it's gonna happen for you. It's gonna complete for you. So just because the network is going through downtime or maintenance, it doesn't have anything to do with your fund. So that's one option. Potentially the Songbird is under some maintenance right now. Or two, maybe some of our backend services are having some issues, meaning our API connecting to that Songbird Explorer is a little bit buggy. So honestly, in this situation, we'll take a look internally for ourselves. But if you want follow-up, feel free to submit a ticket at support.ledger.com and we can follow up with you. But I'll make a mental note here to check on that because it's typically one of those two things.
Definitely. All right, let's see. Tracy Simmons asks, why does Ledger Live app keep chiming on your computer? I'm not too sure what would cause that. Do you know what would cause Ledger Live app? I know that the mobile app now sends notifications to a user's phone if you allow it, but I don't believe this happens on the desktop app.
Yeah, so I have my mobile app here too. You can adjust notification settings in Ledger Live if you don't want any notifications for anything. We typically, most of our notifications are only for promotional things or like really big bugs that we're working on. So if you go to settings, notifications, you can adjust any of your notifications there in the mobile app. Similarly on the desktop app, I think there's probably a notification setting somewhere Maybe under About. Or go to the bell icon at the top right.
Oh.
Yeah. So there shouldn't be. Did they mention desktop?
I think so. Let's.
I'm getting lost.
I know there's so many.
This is cool. Was it right?
Here we go. Oh, on my computer.
On my computer. Interesting. Huh.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to look into that. I'm not too sure what that might be.
I wonder. Oh, you know what I think is what it is.
What you think?
I think they're referring to the noise that it makes when you plug in a USB device on Windows. It goes like, and if you unplug it, it goes, yeah. So I think that might potentially that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, and if your Nano is plugged in, it could be like connecting, disconnecting if you're doing other things on your computer too. So that could be something that's happening.
Yeah. Ledger Live. What else we got? Let's actually address. You want to quickly address this one here? I think.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe we can address this one here.
Oh yeah, definitely. So so Dylan mentioned that recovery phrase is specific to the hardware wallet itself and it cannot be changed. That's actually a pretty common misconception. A Nano hardware wallet actually can generate as many different recovery phrases as it wants. I think Brady actually talked about this earlier. Mm-hmm. You can just keep generating recovery phrase after recovery phrase. But where the confusion usually comes in that is your hardware wallet can only have one recovery phrase at a time. That means that if you were to, the only way you can get a new recovery phrase onto it, generate a new one, is by factory resetting it and importing a new one or generating a new one. But yeah, your Nano can just keep on generating recovery phrases.
Yeah, like the recovery phrase that you have, like your Ledger 24-word recovery phrase, like the one that in your mind is yours, your Ledger has no clue that it's yours. It doesn't care that it's yours, has no idea that it's yours. All that this device knows is valid 24-word recovery phrases. So it would accept any 24-word recovery phrase that's a valid 24-word recovery phrase. It doesn't really have any conception of what your 24-word recovery phrase is. So there's nothing intrinsically that ties a specific 24-word recovery phrase to a ledger. There's no connection there. All this thing doesn't even give you ledger 24-word recovery phrases. It just gives you a 24-word recovery phrase, right? There's nothing about the generation of this specific 24-word recovery phrase that ties it to a specific ledger device. Just one of a uncountable number of recovery phrases that can be generated.
Which technically are all already in existence, which is kind of weird to wrap your head around.
Yeah, they're already there.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much into the weeds here, but technically, when you generate a random 24-word recovery phrase, what you're doing is you're generating a recovery phrase that accesses accounts that already technically exist as part of the ecosystem, as part of the blockchain. And now you're just gaining access to them. You're just generating the private keys. Accounts that were technically already there to begin with. But I don't want to get too deep into that because it can get real confusing, but it's fascinating.
All right, I think we're now right here, so whatever the next one.
Okay. Alex is thanking us. You're very welcome, and thank you for stopping by. Do what we can here. All right. All right, so Michael V asked, how can a mnemonic seed generated on a ledger device match with imported public keys from a third-party service, such as my HBAR wallet? That's a good question. So basically, let me read that again. How can a mnemonic seed generated on a ledger device match with imported public keys from a third-party service, such as my HBAR wallet? So I'm going to try to unpack this a little bit. So basically, what I think you're asking is, how can you, if you generate your public keys from your Nano device, how can you connect your Nano device to another wallet, such as my HBAR wallet, and generate the same public key for those accounts? You think that's probably
I think
close
so. I
to what
think
he's
that's how
asking?
I'm reading it too.
Okay. So basically, here's how it goes. So inside your device, when you set up your Nano, you're going to set it up with your recovery phrase, and that is stored inside your Nano device. And after it's stored in there, it stays in there until you decide to change it. Like if you reset your Nano, either way. And then from there, you go to Ledger Live and you download the Nano app. So we were talking about this earlier, but basically you have your recovery phrase. Now let's say you want to send some Bitcoin to, you want to create a Bitcoin account and send some Bitcoin to it. You would install the Nano app, and that gives your Nano the ability to communicate with the blockchain. And then so now, actually we'll use HBAR as an example. So so whenever you connect your Nano to anything, when you connect your Nano to Ledger Live, when you connect your Nano to my HBAR wallet, if you connect your Nano to MetaMask, anything you connect your Nano to import your account, what's actually happening is your Nano is deriving the public wallet address that can be derived for that account, and it's sharing that with the wallet app that you are connecting to. And Ledger Live works the same way. That's why when I was showing you in here our different accounts, so here is my account for this Nano right here. I'm going to go ahead and just remove this. I'm just going to delete it from my portfolio. And it doesn't really matter because my crypto was never in that account in Ledger Live anyway. My crypto exists on the blockchain. And then this is the key to that account on the blockchain. So you can connect your Nano to as many different wallets as you want, and you can import your public wallet address into those wallets. Let me go ahead and show you kind of what that looks like. And the same is true for HBAR. So we got that. Let me go ahead and just add my ETH account back in Ethereum. So right now, my Ledger Live is wanting me to open the Ethereum app so it can communicate with the Ethereum blockchain, so it can use my private keys to derive the public wallet address for my Ethereum account. And that's what it's doing right now when it's synchronizing. It's deriving my Ethereum public wallet address. And so that'll be displayed here on the screen, the account that I can add. As soon as it gets done, it takes a minute. All right, so I stay standardized here. I don't make any mistakes. I'm going to make sure to name that so I know which Nano it belongs to. We're going to add that account in, and you can see that it just pulls my same exact account right back in. So if you were to connect so here's my HBAR account that I have right here for my other Nano. When I created this account through Hashpack, it created the account, shared the wallet address with Hashpack, and then I can add the account into Ledger Live, and it does the same thing, shares a wallet address. But really, this is always the key, is your recovery phrase on your Nano to be able to derive those wallet addresses. I think I did a good job explaining that.
I think exactly.
I hope so. Let us know if you're still confused, because this is very confusing. It's not easy to wrap your head around.
Yeah. Another way to think about it too is Ledger Live and my HBAR wallet, or even Hashpack or any other wallet for HBAR or anything else, they're just tools to view information from the blockchain. Like Tim mentioned, your accounts aren't in Ledger Live, they're on the blockchain. And Ledger Live is just one of many tools that you can use to view those accounts on the blockchain. So your Ledger is tied to your accounts on the blockchain. So when you connect Ledger to Ledger Live, then Ledger Live will show you your accounts on the blockchain. But if you connect your Ledger to my HBAR wallet, you're going to view the same HBAR account, at least, on the blockchain that's associated with your recovery phrase on the device.
Yep.
So let's see. Oh, Ron Hart asks, I'll rephrase it, that if I want to receive assets, so Ron Hart asks, I want to receive assets from an exchange. I copy the address, but then the pop-down says to verify my recovery phrase. Ooh, that's a little bit of... I'm going to kind of give you two answers here. Kind of cover my tracks. One, if you're saying it's asking you to verify your recovery phrase, you might be referring to the message that we showed a little bit earlier, which was if you are using a device containing a mismatch of recovery phrases, then you're going to get an error message that says, hey, make sure that the device you have connected has the recovery phrase on it that was used to derive the account that you're wanting to get the receive address from. So long story short, all 24-word recovery phrases generate their own unique list of accounts on the blockchain. And in order to access one of those accounts, your nano that is connected needs to contain the recovery phrase that was used to generate that account. So if there's a mismatch there, if you used a different recovery phrase in the past to add an account in Ledger Live, and now you're trying to access that receive address with the wrong recovery phrase, you're going to get that error. Now, there's a kind of a second part, since I don't really know. I want to cover my tracks here. If it sounds like you're trying to get a receive address and it's telling you to verify your 24-word recovery phrase, if you're ever in a situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say, where you're using a website or something that's telling you to enter your 24-word recovery phrases to like verify it or to do whatever, just don't ever do it. Just make sure whatever you're doing right now, something's not asking you to enter your 24-word recovery phrase into a website. So I don't want to cover my tracks.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, definitely.
What else here?
This is a good one.
Yeah, let me take it.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Cool. Carol Natalie asks, if your nano dies, what happens with your data? Well, nothing happens to your data. Your data, quote unquote, in terms of your accounts on the blockchain, your associated addresses, and all of your funds associated with those addresses, they'll remain there on the blockchain forever for as long as the blockchain exists. So your nano really doesn't have anything to do, for the most part, with your accounts on the blockchain, right? It's just holding your private keys to access those accounts. And the backup to all the private keys is that 24-word recovery phrase that we keep talking about. And you can take that 24-word recovery phrase and take it to any other hardware wallet or even a software wallet that supports the BIP39 standard that derives its addresses, and its wallet is based on the BIP39 standard. I'm saying that a little bit incorrectly, but anyway, you can take your recovery phrase to a variety of other wallets and access the same exact accounts. So really, to answer your question, what happens when my ledger dies? Nothing. Your accounts are still there, still on the blockchain. You can take your 24-word recovery phrase somewhere else and access those same exact accounts.
Exactly right. All right. I think there was another follow-up right here. Okay, yeah. So 4TVs asks, can a ledger send my restored seed over the internet to someone if compromised? Not through the ledger live, but through the device itself. And that is an excellent question. And the easy answer to that is no, it's impossible to extract a seed phrase from a nano device. Even you as a user, if you know your PIN, I challenge you to try to get your seed phrase out of your device. It's not possible. Once your seed phrase is saved in memory for security purposes, it is now inaccessible. And the reason for that is that if someone were to get their hands on your nano, or if someone were to somehow gain access to it, then they would be able to also extract that information. So it's not made visible, not made available to anybody, not even the user. And then furthermore, the recovery phrase is stored on the secure element chip within the nano, which can only be accessed through the physical button presses. So even if you were to have malware on your computer, or if someone, I don't even know if this is possible, but if someone were to even somehow get malware or a virus to get installed on your actual nano, it still wouldn't be able to access your recovery phrase. It would be impossible. So you don't really have to worry about anything there. We actually have, and we don't talk about it a whole lot, but we actually have a team that we employ called our Donjon team, and they have a website. I think it's donjon.ledger.com, I believe. Exactly. And this team is super cool. It's basically a team of hackers that we employ to try to break the nano, and not try to break just the nano. Their job is to try to break every hardware wallet. Whatever they can try to break. Their job is to find vulnerabilities, try to exploit it so that we can make a better and more secure product. And so far, it's been impossible to break the nano. No matter what. And some of the methods are pretty crazy that they tried, like using lasers and advanced imaging equipment to try to actually see the magnetic positioning within the chip to try to determine. It's crazy, and they just cannot break it. So so the easy answer to your question is you don't have to worry about it. Your seed cannot be extracted physically by force from your nano, ever.
Nice. Yeah, Paula, if you want us, if you're still here, Paula, if you want to provide your ticket number, here, we'll go ahead and look it up and get back to you. Let's see what else we got.
It's up to the bottom again.
Man,
So many.
yeah, we may need to bring a mod in here next time
I
too to
know.
cover some of the questions.
Cool.
Let's see. So my nano, try to get somebody new who hasn't asked a question. Dylan Woods, thanks for the shout out. Glad you're enjoying the live stream. Okay, here's one. Senex asks, can I store my EOS and OXT token on Ledger Nano X? Sure. So EOS is, if you want to pull up our EOS,
Yeah.
our EOS, excuse me, Help Center article. Yeah, and then there is, yeah, go down to, go back, actually. Give them this one. Create a, yeah, that one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think we're sharing our.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah. So here is a fantastic Help Center article on creating your EOS account with your Ledger Nano. So we'll go ahead and throw this into the chat. Definitely recommend taking a peek at this and walking through it step by step. There's a fantastic YouTube video on there that is polished and perfect and ready to walk you through step by step. So just turn that thing on, get your Ledger, your computer ready, and just walk through it step by step, and you shouldn't have any issues. As for your other token, you already got the screen shared, so yeah, you want to check that other token and see. I don't know what that is. Is it an ERC20 or
OXT?
OXT. Orchid Protocol. I think I've heard of this one before.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah, it looks like it's an ERC20 token. Let's see. All right, yep. So OXT is a fully supported ERC20 token in Ledger Live. So just like we talked about earlier, you can actually send your OXT tokens straight to your ETH wallet address. You just generate your ETH wallet address, and then it will show up just like these other tokens right here within your ETH account. So yeah, fully supported.
All right. Mr. Dino, I asked, I noticed that when I went to add a Tectonic account, it says that it is on ETH network as of what I know, it is on Kronos chain. Will that be updated?
Let's see.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about all of these ERC20 tokens is, so Ethereum itself is like this big infrastructure, right? There's this Ethereum infrastructure that a lot of networks can come in and kind of build their own. It's not a side chain, it's the wrong way to put it, but they can build like their own networks using this Ethereum standard, right? It's this like Ethereum virtual machine is what they call it. And a lot of these networks like Kronos, even Avalanche C Chain, Polygon, BNB Smart Chain, these are all EVM networks, meaning they're Ethereum virtual machine networks, meaning they're all going to share typically the same address. So it looks like Tectonic might be a little bit something different in its native form, but what you're seeing is a ERC20 token of Tectonic, right? Some token that represents the price of this Tectonic coin, whatever it is. And you can have different tokens on the same token representing the same price action on different networks. So you can have it on Kronos, you can have it on Ethereum. I don't know, people put it on all kinds of different things. So what you're seeing in Ledger Live is probably that we support this Tectonic whatever as an ERC20 token on Ethereum. So if you have something on Kronos, if you have this thing on Kronos, you may have to use a compatible third-party wallet. It might not yet be supported in Ledger Live on Kronos, because I don't think we support really any Kronos tokens yet.
I believe there is support for some Kronos tokens, but we do not have a list of which ones those are.
Yeah, that's
So
right. That's right.
yeah, so I wish we can look this up and see if this is one of the ones, but we haven't actually been given that list yet. But we should have it soon.
Mhm.
And I think they're still working on working out the kinks on that. But yeah, Chronos token support is coming to Ledger Live. Eventually, this should be good.
Yeah, and I noticed too. This project is a pretty small market cap. It's at 32 million. So you asked when will that be updated? We do have a large list of tokens and networks to
Yeah.
support in Ledger Live, and a lot of that, a good portion of influence of what actually gets added to Ledger Live is based off of market demand and what people in the community want and need. And some of these lower market cap projects take more time, right?
Yes.
We kind of want to wait until, maybe not wait, but kind of want to make sure that it's a legitimate, viable project. And should we take the time? Should we take the engineering time to actually build out the support or not? So, something to keep in mind.
All right. Awesome. Looks like I apologize in advance. I'm gonna try to pronounce your name. All right, here we go. Pala Nimurugan. Man, I feel like I really messed that up. Either way, you asked about Ledger Live support for Chronos Chain. And yes, that is coming. We are working on that, and that's definitely going to be a thing more and more for more and more Chronos tokens moving forward. But it'll be a slow rollout, just like Brady was talking about. It takes work to add each token. So it'll be a slow rollout, but eventually we hope everything's eventually one day.
When will Ledger list XRP? XRP is already an account that you can add an XRP account in Ledger Live. So yeah, it's currently available right now.
Yep.
You got one that you want to take
Let's see. Yeah, that is a good adding ENS ETH support, so you can send directly to ENS addresses. That is definitely a feature that that we can send up to our devs as a I don't know what it would take to get that built in, but since other wallets do it, I know it's possible. But we would have to submit the request and have them look into it before we can make any definitive statements on whether or not it's coming or not. But yeah, definitely I will submit that because I'm also a big fan of ENS and I would like that feature as well.
Me too.
Yes.
Ron Hart, really quick, you asked, hey, how do we check our recovery phrase on GitHub? You don't really want to check your recovery phrase on anything online. You can, like there are services out there. There are things like Ian Coleman tool where you can enter your 24-word recovery phrase and it'll show you all of your accounts and associated private addresses or private keys, for that recovery phrase. But long story short, you never want to do that. You never want to enter your recovery phrase anywhere online whatsoever, whether it's a form, whether it's a tool, whether it's a third-party wallet. If at all possible, you never want to enter your recovery phrase on a website. Now, sure, there may be very fringe emergency situations where you need to do that, and you're only doing that to do something quickly, knowing that you'll never use that recovery phrase again. But for the most part, you should never, ever need to do that. If you do want to check your recovery phrase, you want to make sure that the one that's on your device matches the one that you have written down on paper. We do have what's called our recovery check app you can install in the My Ledger tab, and it'll help you determine whether or not what you have written down on paper, what you think is your recovery phrase, actually matches the one on the device or not. So you can use that app to check that. So Patrick Reed, what safeguards are in place if somebody were to steal my recovery phrase and attempt to restore my wallet to their own device? Sorry, did you just read that one?
No, I did not. That's a really good. Somehow my eyes passed right over it. That's a really good question.
You shook your head and I was like, oh no, did I just like blank out for a
No.
minute?
You're good. Please can't take it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Really, there are. If somebody has your recovery phrase, there's no safeguards to protect your accounts that are associated to that recovery phrase. If somebody else has that 24 words, they have access to your accounts just like you have access to them. So that is the whole basis around Ledger, is not allowing somebody to get access to that recovery phrase. So When you get your recovery phrase from the device, you write it down on a sheet of paper and you store that in a secure place, and no one has access to it. Furthermore, you don't keep a copy of that 24-word recovery phrase on a computer, on a Google Doc. You never take a picture of it. You never digitize that 24-word recovery phrase in any way. Because whenever you do, that opens up a vulnerability of somebody being able to hack into your computer and steal whatever document or photo that contains a copy of your 24-word recovery phrase. Think about this. Think about if you have your social security card and you put your social security card in your safe. Okay, it's safe, totally. But if I took a picture of my numbers and someone knew, or somebody saw the picture of my social security card, it saw a picture of the numbers, they would have access to my social security, even though the card is in my safe. If I have a picture of it and somebody stole that picture, they now have access to my social security number just like I do. Similar thing happening with the device. It's locked away, it's stored away in the device. You have a physical copy hidden away, but if somebody else somehow gets a copy of those 24 words, there are no safeguards to protect you from that.
Yeah, this is the most important. I think the most important part of most important thing anybody who takes on self custody needs to understand is your Ledger device is very powerful. It can offer you a whole lot of security and it can keep you safe, but it can only keep you as safe as you keep yourself. And understanding how to safeguard your security phrase, your recovery phrase, is the key to safeguarding your crypto assets and remaining safe in this space. So make sure you keep your recovery phrase safe, because if you give it up to anyone, if anyone does get it, then there really is no recourse. There's nothing anyone can do with that.
All right. Got through quite a few of them.
Yes. See, so we're a little bit, we want to do a couple more each maybe and kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, let's just do one more each, just super quick.
Okay.
I'll take this Carmine one. Hey, I cannot withdraw Solana from
Cool.
previously staked account. I'm being told, sorry, insufficient funds. Any idea how to retrieve my Solana? Still shows on my account. Great question. This typically happens because you staked all of your Solana and you didn't leave any Solana in your available balance to pay for transaction fees. So when you go to unstake that Solana, there's a transaction fee involved. And you can't pay transaction fees with staked Solana. You have to pay transaction fees with Solana in your available balance. So go ahead and just send some SOL to your Solana account to pay for those transaction fees that are required to unstake that SOL, and you're good to go.
All right. So I will answer Steven's question. He says, if I delete my Ledger Live app and then go to another device and connect my Nano to the Ledger Live app on the new device, will it pull up the same information? And the answer is yes. So this Nano right here that I've been kind of using for demonstration, I already deleted my ETH account and re-added it into Ledger Live, but this Nano does not care what I'm connecting to. If I authorize something on this Nano, it's going to execute no matter what. So I can actually import my accounts from this Nano into as many different computers. If I had 1,000 computers, I can add my ETH account or any of my accounts to each one of those computers individually, and it will always pull in the exact same information. It's just pulling up basically your account from the blockchain and giving it to you right there on that device. Yep.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, we're quite a bit over, so we should probably wrap things up.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm really sorry if we couldn't get to all your questions, but we're going to have to cut it short for the day, end it for the day. But we do these every Wednesday at 4 p.m. That's the plan. We're going to be here to answer your questions. It may not always be Brady and I, but there will probably always be two of us. So yeah, bring your questions. If you do have a burning question that we didn't get to, reach out to us on support. If possible, select that live chat button if it's available. That way you can just get to an agent right away and get your question answered. But otherwise, email support, and we'll answer your question as soon as we can. But otherwise, we'll see you next Wednesday. Oh, also, we also do live onboarding. So we actually had a question from someone that's saying they're having trouble setting up their Nano X. That's actually what we do every Friday. So a member of our team every Friday will do a live onboarding where they fully set up a Nano from scratch and they show you the entire process. So feel free to show up to that, ask your questions, and we'll do our best to get you answered. You got anything else, Brady?
No, keep that recovery phrase safe. Never digitize it in any way. And yeah, not your keys, not your crypto. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.